Hey there, it's Bethany Zell. I'm Program Director for Healthy You at Cary Medical Center, and welcome to our Wellness Wednesday Live. This one is all about our theme for the month, which is healthy eating. And so today we're going to talk about some different superfoods that we should try and incorporate a little more into our healthy eating plan for this year. Some of the best superfoods that are out there and some ones that have been around for a while, but we're going to kind of debrief and break them down and talk a little bit about what's so super about some of these superfoods. So when we talk about superfoods, people sometimes get a little confused and aren't real clear what that means. Is it like a superhero and it fixes everything in the world? Not really, but most healthy foods generally will have 2 or 3 healthy properties, but a superfood is kind of like that, but even more so. And so what might be considered healthy with 2 or 3 different nutritious properties, where superfoods generally will have up to a dozen or more health benefits associated with it. So they're powerful foods that have a lot of different nutrients and molecules that can be medicinal. And although they're not magic, they are super because they have this rich composition of vitamins and minerals that you can't always get in other foods that we eat. So they're really great for rounding out and completing a very healthy diet and a balanced diet. And it's better to consume as many superfoods as you can, because you're getting kind of that more bang for your buck that a lot of people look for when they're trying to be healthy. They also tend to have a lot of plant compounds, which are called phytonutrients, and those can be protective and preventative when we talk about chronic disease and other negative health impacts that people sometimes have from the food that they eat that might not be as nutritious or as powerful as our superfood friends that we're going to talk about. So I'm not going to be talking for long about each one. I just want to share with you a few of the great health benefits of 10 superfoods that we've identified. And again, this is not an exhaustive list. There are a lot of superfoods out there, and if you know of some, go ahead and comment. Let us know what superfoods you're already aware of and eating. Share in the comments. If you see a superfood and you know a great way to prepare it, share that in the comments. Spread the wealth. Let people know how we can make these more accessible to everybody in our communities. So the first one we're going to talk about is called Chia Seeds. Now, I know some of you who might have been in the 70s, 80s, heard of, chia pets. That's what I grew up knowing what chia was. But chia seeds are actually really amazing. They carry a lot of different phytochemicals, and they each have their own unique benefits, but mostly they're antioxidant and anti-inflammatory, which is great. And you see they're just these teeny tiny little seeds. They can get stuck in your teeth. Yes, I'm sorry, but they have a high concentration of plant-based omega-3 essential fatty acids, and these are things that we can't always get from outside sources. And they play a role in our cellular health and in our heart health and protect our heart. So it's a complete protein, which means it has all 9 essential amino acids, and that's really rare for a plant-based source of protein. So a lot of bang for your buck with little chia seeds. You can put a scoop into a smoothie. You can make pudding out of them. If you've ever seen those overnight refrigerator oats, this is one of the ingredients that most of those recipes will call for. And it thickens up a little bit, and they soften as they absorb the liquid. They get fuller. It's about 37% fiber in this tiny little seed. And I've dumped some out here so we can maybe see a little closer, but they're teeny, teeny little seeds. 37% fiber. So when they absorb all the fluid and whatever liquid you're mixing them into, that's a lot. And so you get 20% soluble fiber, and 80% of that fiber is insoluble. You need both of those for a healthy intestinal tract and a digestive, so it's a great help with digestive problems. Great form of fiber. And when they start absorbing, it gets a little jellyish, so you can make it into a pudding. Lots of great things you can do with chia. You can throw it right into a liquid beverage, and it kind of creates an interesting texture, but it's a great way to fill yourself up, add a little bit of fiber, add some of those great nutrient boosts that I just talked about. And you know, those omega-3 fatty acids, they are essential, and you can get them right here in Chia Seeds, not for chia pets. Okay, the next one is a vegetable that we talked about the last time I went live, and some of you may recognize. It's the cauliflower. Cauliflower is an excellent source of phytonutrients. It's, again, very high in those anti-inflammatory compounds. It helps ward off cancer, heart disease, brain disease, can help with weight gain. It's a very, very low calorie food. So you can replace it. One of the best ways we like to use these, we steam it and mash it and use it in place of mashed potatoes. And we call them faux potatoes. And it's just a great way that you can boost your nutrient blueprint to be much more comprehensive, give you a little more. These are also a cruciferous vegetable. Those are excellent sources of natural antioxidants and all kinds of vitamins and fiber, soluble sugars, minerals, all different kinds of nutritious compounds with very, very little caloric impact. And that's why cauliflower is one of our superfoods that we should implement more. Get more cauliflower in. You can rice it up like we talked about in our last live. You can steam it, you can dip it raw, you can add it to salads. It's so versatile. I've used it, the faux potatoes, on a shepherd's pie in place of mashed potatoes, and I've heard of people even making pizza crust out of mashed cauliflower. So try and find some ways to incorporate some more cruciferous, specifically cauliflower, into your life. A lot more superness. Okay, we got another grain. This is called quinoa, and I don't know if any of you have seen this and wonder, what is that? It looks like it's spelled quinoa, and I know that's backwards on your screen. Q-U-I-N-O-A. Quinoa is how it's pronounced. Again, this is another great plant-based form of fiber and high-quality protein. It's got a lot of great, healthy plant-based protein. It's got a lot of those plant-based amino acids, the same that the chia seeds had, and it's nearly a perfect protein. It also has a lot of iron and potassium in it. And about 1/2 a cup of this cooks up just like a whole grain. You can use it in place of rice. You can use it in salads. You can top off a salad with just a little bit of this. It'll take on the flavor of whatever you're cooking. I've used it in kind of like a pseudo fried rice instead of rice, just because it does pack a little more protein into each bite. So 1/2 a cup of this cooked will have 14 grams of protein. So that's a lot. Like if you're a vegetarian or you're trying to eat more plant-based, it's sometimes difficult to get the protein that we need, but this plant-based protein is a great source. It also has 6 grams of fiber in 1/2 a cup. But again, very versatile. I've used it in breakfast. For breakfast, I'll prepare it kind of like an oatmeal, and that's another little option. You can add it to salads, cook with it exclusively, make some one-pot meals. It's a family favorite, and it's kind of got a little nutty texture. If you've tried quinoa, tell us in the comments. How do you like it? How do you prepare it? Try something new, try it a different way. If you tried it and you didn't like it, try it a different way. Look for a different way to like it, because it's got a lot of plant power in it that's going to help you be supported and give you some of those extra nutrients that we're looking for from a superfood. All right, up next. Oh, this is one of my favorites. Beets. And I'm not in my kitchen this week, so I didn't pull out the fresh produce here, but I'm sure we all kind of know what a beet is, and I know my kids run screaming from them sometimes. But I don't know if you even know about all the nutrients. We got potassium, magnesium, folate, vitamin C, nitrates, healthy nitrates. They also help reduce blood pressure and anemia. They improve circulation and cognitive function. They're very detoxifying for the blood. And I mean, is it any wonder? Look at the gorgeous color. You can eat them cooked, you can steam them, you can roast them. There's so many different things. There are a lot of sugars that come from beets, a beet sugar. So sometimes I'll just cut a raw one in half, like peel it, cut it in half, chop it up a little bit, and I'll blend it right into a smoothie. It adds a little sweetness without having to add too many calories, and of course you're getting all of those vitamins and minerals that are going to support and make you feel even better. So our next superfood are beets. If you can find a place for them on your table, you definitely should. Put them in a smoothie, I'm telling you, you'll like it. Okay. This one's a little unusual, and people hear this and they're like, ew, that just sounds weird. So, who here has heard of fermented foods? Do we know what that means? Fermentation is not like pickling. It's different than pickling. Pickling tends to happen in a vinegar-based brine, whereas fermentation generally tends to happen through a salt-based brine. But fermentation is a natural process where microorganisms like yeast convert carbs like starch and sugar into alcohol or acids that our body can then process and use specifically as a probiotic. So these alcohols and acids work as a preservative, and they give a fermented food its kind of zesty, zippy tartness. So some of the common fermented foods are sauerkraut. So if you love having sauerkraut on your plate, that's a great little source of fermentation. Kefir, which is a fermented milk drink. Tempeh, which is a fermented type of soy. Kimchi, which is a cabbage. It's a fermented cabbage that's very popular in Korean culture, a little bit spicy. Yogurt is a great fermented food. Again, with that, like we talked about the last time, you got to be careful of your sugars with the yogurts. And then this is how I like to get my fermented foods in. This is called kombucha, or kombucha, I think it's called. Kombucha is how I pronounce it. And this is a fermented tea. And so it's kind of got a sparkly effervescence to it that tastes, kind of reminds me of a soda. And I can't drink an entire bottle of this in one sitting, but you can space it out a little bit. But they really recommend that you try and get some fermented foods into your system on a regular basis, because they really do help with our immune function as well as digestive and heart health. And of course, when you hear about those probiotics, everyone knows it helps with having a healthy gut and helping with your digestive processes and keeping those moving, flowing properly the way that they should. So any way that we're able to add fermented food to our regular eating plan will just help boost some of those good bacteria that help us to have that healthier gut that we're looking for. And then you can make your own kombucha, or you can buy it bottled like this. You want to watch for sugars, added sugars on the back. This whole bottle is only 60 calories because really it's fermented tea, and tea doesn't carry a huge caloric impact. But you can get different flavors. This one's ginger, so that's one of my favorites. Kind of ginger ale-ish, I guess, in a little way. But fermented foods, great way to introduce some healthy probiotics that can help with your gut health. All right, so everyone knows nuts are amazing and good sources of protein. We're going to pick on one nut in particular today, and those are pecans. And despite what most people believe, these are free from cholesterol and actually help lower our LDL levels to a healthier level. They're a good source of oleic acid, and that helps with prevention of the proliferation of cancer cells, which is when they kind of reproduce out of control. This can help with that by preventing it. They also contain a lot of those phytochemicals that we're going to see in a lot of these superfoods that we talk about today. Beta carotene, lutein, vitamin E, all of those are great antioxidants. They're one of the best sources of B complex vitamins like niacin, riboflavin, folate, vitamin B6, thiamine. They have all kinds of essential minerals like calcium, magnesium, selenium, zinc. I mean, the list goes on and on and on. Obviously, you don't want to sit down and eat an entire can or bag of pecans, but a little sprinkle here and there can be amazing. Throw a handful into a smoothie, give it a little protein punch, and you're good to go. But pecans, obviously we're not talking about pecan pie here. All that sugar and syrups and those kinds of things will definitely take away from some of the superfood qualities of our pecan friends. But if you can find a way to incorporate more of these into your eating, get a little more bang for your buck. All right. Then we have avocado. Now, for some of you like me, I can't eat avocado because I have a latex allergy, and so avocado is kind of loosely tied to the rubber tree, and for some people with latex allergies, it can bother you. So I usually try and get my avocado nutrients through the use of the oil, which is a higher burn point oil. So it's considered to be one of the healthier. But if you're able, most of us know what an avocado looks like, it is one of the most nutrient-dense foods available. Ounce for ounce, they are among the richest in fiber, folate, potassium, vitamin E, magnesium. Out of all of the fruits, avocado is the winner. So if you have a way to introduce these more into your healthy food plan, you definitely should, because you're just doing your body great. It's got those healthy fats, monounsaturated fats, and great for high heat cooking in the oil form. But any way that you can incorporate some more avocado, whether it's mixing up your own guacamole like we talked about in our last Wellness Wednesday Live, or whether you just eat it straight. I know some people like to sprinkle some lemon on there and a little dash of salt and just eat it right out of the skin. So very versatile. Some people use it in smoothies. I used to eat it in sushi before it started bothering me. So I know a lot of the Asian cuisines rely heavily on avocado and adding that in. So anywhere you can add avocado, you're boosting the superfood quantities in your life. All right, our next one is more of a drink. We're talking about green tea. I know you can't see this. Okay, this is terrible. Hang on. I got a picture I forgot. Okay, so we are talking about green tea. And down here you'll see these are green tea leaves. And this is matcha powder, and that's basically ground up powder. And it's not quite as processed as much as the leaves are. It's not dried out as much, so more of the micronutrients really stay present if you use the matcha powdered version of green tea as opposed to the leafy version. But they're both very, very healthful. They're both full of catechin polyphenols and powerful antioxidants that inhibit the growth of cancers. They protect against DNA damage that can be caused by ultraviolet lights. And it also contains a lot of bioflavonoids, which protect us against infection. So green tea, if you can get a couple of those in. I don't recommend drinking a cup of green tea on an empty stomach. It can sometimes upset your stomach. But as much as you can, introduce a few cups of green tea into your life. A couple times a week. If you are more at risk for certain cancers, you might want to look at creating a daily habit of green tea or matcha green tea. But for these reasons, it's one of our superfoods that we're talking about today. All right, so everybody loves chocolate, and it's no surprise because at its root, it's absolutely amazing. It contains retains high levels of flavonoids, which have been shown to boost heart health. They reduce cholesterol levels and insulin resistance and help with blood pressure and keeping it stable. Flavonoids are really an antioxidant that protect our body from aging and disease. But when we're talking about the cocoa, the chocolate that's going to do this for us, we're not talking about Hershey bars or milk chocolate. We're talking about raw cacao. Sorry, I'm knocking things over here. Raw cacao, and that's how it's pronounced. It comes in a powder form. A lot of people use it for baking this way, but you can mix a spoonful of this into a smoothie with a natural sweetener and get a really good chocolate smoothie base going, and then add some other superfoods to it. But it has a great antioxidant value. Again, it has to be raw cacao, not cocoa. You're not looking at baking chocolate. This is not any of that. This is straight up. If you eat this from the bag, it's going to be very tart, very, very, very tart. It's not like a milk chocolate bar. So use it sparingly if you're planning to eat it alone. But another way you can eat it, which is a little more in its rawest form, are what are called these cacao nibs. And they really are, I don't know, I've used them in place of chocolate chips. I'll sprinkle them sometimes on a yogurt. And I don't know if you could see these in my hand. They're tiny little pieces of the cacao seed that's been broken up. And they're just little nibs, but they're very tart. I mean, you can eat them plain. They're, you know, they're tart. It tastes like eating chocolate with no sugar in it. But it's a great source of magnesium and all different kinds of nutrients. It's got some of the potassium and protein that we love to look for in our superfoods. It's got those essential fatty acids. It's got calcium, chromium, zinc, sulfur, all kinds of great nutrients that really take this over the edge from being just chocolate to being a superfood. And again, you can get it in nib form. You can grind this down and it'll become the powder, or you can get it in the powder form. Either way, pop it in a smoothie. You can even pop these into a smoothie and add some chocolatey flavor to it, as well as those great nutrients that we need to help us feel super. All right, and sprinkle it on a salad. I've heard of people sprinkling it all over different things. One of my favorite ways to use turmeric is with an essential oil, and just one little drop every day gives me a lot of these health benefits that the powder and the actual root do as well. And so that is a great little thing that if you can find a way to include some turmeric into your world. A lot of the Indian cultures prepare meals with this on a regular basis. Curcumin in general tends to be involved in a lot of those, and you'll see a lot of positive health outcomes from these cultures that tend to incorporate more of this where they're able. So that is our superfood overview. If you've tried any of these, please tell us where you've tried them, how you've tried it, how do you like it. I see somebody on there, Manon says she loves quinoa and she made it last night. If you have a recipe, shoot it to us. Let us know how you make it. I'll post one of my favorite quinoa recipes in the comments as well. And if no one has any questions, we're all done. I hope you guys will check back in with us in February. Our theme for Healthy You is going to be heart health, to go right along with the National Heart Health Month. And our lives will be on the 2nd and 4th Wednesday of that month. And those will both be related to heart health. So I hope to see you back here in 2 weeks for our next Wellness Wednesday. And thank you so much. Have a great day.